Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Chapter by Chapter for Eye of the World. I am your host, Will Cowan, and with me is Mr. Steve Haynes. Steve Haynes, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Will?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. It's a little cloudy out today, and when it's cloudy out, I get a little
Cloudy inside.
cloudy inside. Yeah, it's not great, but I'm okay. We're gonna make it through because we're going through Chapter 15 today of Eye of the World. Chapter 15 being called
Strangers and Friends. Or as I like to call it, Friends and Strangers.
Isn't that a Phil Collins song?
Yes.
If you remember from our last episode that we ended off with Rand waking up from a nightmare, basically. A nightmare that's caused by Baerlon.
An all too real nightmare.
An all too real nightmare. And I shouldn't even say that it's caused by Baerlon because we don't even know. Maybe it's
caused by sleep deprivation or bad diet.
These bad diet. They're eating just bread and cheese.
Stress.
All right.
Stress will do crazy things.
Oh,
bread
absolutely.
And cheese, the carbs. Ooh, cheese dreams. Don't get me started on cheese dreams. But anyways,
I want nothing to do with cheese dreams.
Out of it. We have Rand waking up to find that he wakes up in the inn from his bad dream, goes downstairs, finds out most of his friends have left. They're out in the town.
Yeah, they're all hanging out without him. I mean, if I was him, I'd probably feel a little shitty.
Save for the Gleeman in the corner of the room doing his rendition of Black Hole Sun on a lute. Listen, Westworld was on to something there. But Rand bumps into the innkeeper, right? He witnesses an argument.
Well, between the innkeeper and the inn's cook, and the argument the argument is about the cat, the cook's cat, and about how many rats.
Well, the argument is about dead rats, which is an argument I found myself in a few times. But the innkeeper is upset with the amount. Well, there's dead rats everywhere. All around, all of a sudden, there's a bunch of dead rats, and
you can't run a Best Western.
Nope.
With rats everywhere,
you're gonna end up with a worse Western, especially if they die. But a bunch of dead rats. I mean, it makes sense that you would assume a cat is up to no good.
Yeah. And the cook's like, don't you talk shit about my cat? That's my cat. Leave my cat alone.
Yeah, leave little rat killer alone. I mean, I named him Rat Killer, but it has nothing to do with killing rats.
Yeah. But then Master Fitch, well, the cook is like, I'm gonna leave. If you can't handle my cat doing his job, then I'm gonna take my skills and my cat. And I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm gonna take my ass to the Hotel Ramada over the corner, and I'm gonna start doing that shit. And he's like, Master Fitch is like, no, I'm sorry. You can stay. Please just kind of keep an eye on what the cat is doing. I don't want to hear complaints. And he leaves. And then the cook sees Rand, and she's like, you want some bread and cheese? And he's like, oh God.
Oh man, I guess. So she brings over the cheese bread and tells them, that his friends have made their way into the city. Then she also makes a comment starts talking about the rats. She starts doing rat talk.
Yeah,
and mentions
she's like,
that these rats have broken backs.
Yeah. Yep.
Which obviously perks Rand's attention due to the dream where Baerlon was breaking little baby rats' backbones with his finger.
Yeah. That would freak me out, man.
Of course it would.
I wouldn't like waking up from a dream and then have aspects of that dream happen literally as I'm waking up.
Could just be a weird synchronicity, but in this case, I do think that it is the Dark Lord breaking the backs of baby rats. Well, and adult rats.
That's what makes him the Dark Lord.
Just rats in general, I guess.
Just rats. Just all kinds of rats. Needless to say, Rand's starting to consider who to talk to, and he looks over to the Gleeman who's playing Black Hole Sun. He's like, maybe I could talk to him, but he's busy. Look. I'm a
I
performer
love this
too,
song.
and I understand
I love this song. It's a
and I
great
understand
rendition.
the importance of covers when you're performing to people. And sometimes Black Hole Sun needs to be played. I've seen it work. So Rand is like, I can't talk to him, but I think the cook mentions that Perrin is still in bed. He wasn't feeling well or something like that.
Yeah. So he goes to
And
check on Perrin.
yeah, he goes up to Perrin and he walks into the room, and Perrin's still laying in bed, and he doesn't look too hot. He's like sick, like in a way. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a cold or anything like that, but it's just kind of like he's obviously not feeling well. So Rand tells him the dream, and Perrin's like, I had the same
I had
thing.
the same dream, man.
Same thing happened to me, dude. And he's like, okay, that's weird. And then Perrin's like, and last night, like after I woke up from my dream, I tried to tell Matt about it, and Matt shrugged me off, but he shrugged me off in a way that was like, I think he had the dream
Maybe
too.
he had the same dream. Yeah, and he didn't want to accept it.
Yeah. And he didn't want to talk about it. And he also said like that Matt was like tossing and turning in bed last night as well.
Mm-hmm.
So none of these guys had great look. When your diet is bread and cheese,
it adds a difficulty. It adds a difficulty level to everything. It like doubles the difficulty level of everything if you're just running off bread and cheese.
You have the Dark Lord in you when you're running on bread and cheese.
Oh yeah.
So Rand is like, okay, I'm gonna go find Matt now. I'm gonna talk to Matt and see if he can tell me if he's had the dream as well. So he runs outside and he just runs to the crowded street. And the first thing he notices is just how packed full of people it is.
Well, yeah, it is a very crowded street.
Yeah, they've never been to a city before.
Yeah, it's like more people than he's ever seen.
Before he's even like comprehend what he's seeing, Min, the tall, slender woman that Moraine was talking to, pulls him aside real quick. In man clothes, pulls him aside real quick, and she's basically like telling him his fortune. He's like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "Moraine sees." Like, I'm not an Aes Sedai, I'm not a soothsayer, I'm not a wisdom, I'm not any of those things, but I can see parts of the pattern.
Yeah, and she says she sees some spiritual, mystical, spooky things around land.
Yeah.
Images she sees around land, Tom, Matt and Perrin.
Yeah, and some of them aren't very good. Like, for land, she sees like 7 ruined towers around land.
Yeah,
which that doesn't sound very very appetizing. The Gleeman, she sees a man juggling fire. So I don't know if that's bad or like a cool trick he comes up with.
This is a new act.
Which I don't think that's bad. For Perrin, she sees a wolf and a broken crown
and trees.
Which I don't know what that means.
Trees flowering around.
And trees. Yep. And for Rand, I got a quote here that says, "A sword that ain't a sword,
yeah,
a golden leaf crown, a beggar's staff, pouring water on the sand, a bloody hand, a white hot iron, and most of all, lightning." She just sees a lot of lightning coming from him.
Yeah, and a black rock wet with blood.
A black rock, yes, you're correct. That's a lot to really.
Oh, and the 3 women over the funeral with Rand.
There was that too?
Yeah.
He has a lot going on in his future. If any of this comes true.
Yeah, if there was any doubt that if he had any doubt that he was the main character, I mean,
it's all gone now.
Yeah, the sword that isn't a sword though, where I come from, we call that a stick.
Look, I got tons of swords that ain't swords.
Yeah, they're just sticks.
Look, I can hold up. I got a bunch of sticks. I got a stick over there.
And then isn't it the thing that is seen around Egwene is something that she won't refuse? Isn't that it?
I don't recall. Honestly, I remember I read this chapter last week. And now I'm going off in notes that I did.
Listen, don't pull the curtain back. Don't let them know. Point is, there's a lot of definite foreshadowing happening here. So I think
Absolutely. Min is a foreshadower.
yeah, these are things that we are going to want to pay attention for going forward, and and see what pops up. Did you talk about mats? Did you say mats?
No, I don't have mats here actually. What was mats?
Red eagle,
Mm.
laughing face, a horn,
Mm.
a dagger with a ruby, an eye on a balance scale.
Like an eyeball?
Yeah,
Well, that's just disconcerting.
it always is. Anytime an eyeball is out of the socket.
I don't want any part of that, man. I don't want any part of that. And once she basically tells him all this fortune, what happens again? Does she just kind of go like wish him well, like just pay attention to these things, or does he get kind of freaked out and he's just like, fuck off?
Rand gets freaked out when he hears about the funeral with him on it. And that's when he's like, all right. No more of this. And and he takes off and heads into the crowd.
Min, I think he can hear Min go like, "We will meet again" or something like that.
We will meet again. You can't run.
And
I'll find you.
He runs off into the street. Basically, he runs a few blocks just to kind of get away from the situation. Don't blame him. Once you hear crazy shit from a person that you don't really know, you kind of want to get away from that situation. He gets away and he starts walking down the street. He calms down and he starts like looking around the street and he's like, "Oh, this city's like not that much different from Emmons Field in a way." He sees a guy that kind of looks. He starts seeing.
He sees like the parallels. He sees the bread maker. He sees the cheese maker. He's like, I remember Gary who makes the bread back home. I remember cheesy Alfonso whipping up that cheese.
We're gonna have words with those guys when we come home. Oh my god! But as he's like recognizing, he's seeing the parallels. He sees a face that he does recognize, and it's Padan Fanes, the peddlers from chapter 3.
From chapter 3,
and he's like, yeah, from such hits that you might recognize as, and he goes like, hey, I recognize you. And the Padan Fane is just like, really? He goes, yeah, and he runs away. And so Rand chases after him. He's like, what are you doing? And he finally kind of corners him, I think in an alley somewhere. And he's like, what are you doing? Like, we thought you died in the Winter Night attack, or like, we just didn't know what happened. So like, is everything okay? And Padan Fane is like, he's like petrified in a way that like, that he wants to get away from Rand.
Yeah, he's like, don't talk to me, man. I don't know, man. Leave me alone. He doesn't want any association with Rand or any of them.
Yeah, and he's like, well, if you come with us, we'll talk. We can talk to Moraine, and we can figure out a way for you to get back home or something like that. And as soon as he mentions Moraine, he's like, no, absolutely not. Do not tell her that I'm here. And then he just like runs off.
Yeah.
And Rand chases him down again. But he loses him in the crowd. And as soon as he's like turning a corner, he bumps into Matt.
Yeah, crashes into him.
Matt's just like, yeah, just crashes into him. And Matt's just like, he's just out on the town. He's like looking around and shit.
Cruising. He's trying to find himself a nice kebab on the streets, you know what I mean? Street food.
Hey, man, when you're in a new city, you got to try the street meat.
You got to try all that street food. That's how you find out what the city tastes like. If you want to taste the air.
Yeah.
You want to taste the pollution. Find out the level of pollution. Anyways, bumps in the mat.
I watch sorry. He runs into Matt, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And basically, the conversation culminates in Rand asking Matt about the dream.
Mm-hmm. Did you have this dream?
And yeah, and he did have it. I can't remember the conversation actually. Does he say he did have it, and they talk a little bit of the details or anything like that?
I believe so. Listen.
Yeah. Oh, right. Because they talk about it a little bit, and then they decide to. Why don't we talk to the Gleeman about this? Like, we need an adult, but we don't want the guys to die. Definitely don't want Lan. We need we just need an adult to talk to about this. And Gleeman's been around a lot. He's seen a lot of crazy things. Maybe he might know what to do, what might be best.
He's an experienced man with a different level of experience.
Exactly.
Loot experience.
So as they're like, they come up with a plan, like, let's go tell the Gleeman. A couple of white cloaks comes marching down the alley that they were hanging around. Yeah. And Matt, being Matt, he's like, watch this. And he just runs off. And Rand's just like,
watch this. See
ya. That's what happened. And Rand's just kind of like sitting there. And then he watches Matt like take his slingshot or like his sling or something like that. And he throws a rock at this structure that was carrying a whole bunch of barrels or something like that. And breaks the structure. It collapses all on the white cloaks. And the first person they see,
it's like Home Alone shit.
It's genius. Whatever Matt was doing, genius. I loved every second of it. So after they got essentially they got attacked by Matt.
Yeah.
A bunch of wooden barrels. They see Rand and they're like, "You there? What is the meaning of this?"
Halt. Halt. You can't see it, but I'm holding up my hand in a great halt motion here.
It's a great halt motion, man. You should be a traffic stop.
Halt.
And the Children of Light, like, essentially are like, what are you doing? Like, they start questioning him, and then Rand starts feeling sick.
Yeah, inexplicably, like, super sick all of a sudden.
Yeah, which I don't know. We don't know what that's about. Maybe
it's Dark One sickness. Well, it's dark. It's it's got to be.
Is it?
I think it is. We don't know what it is, but I think it is.
It could be.
Could have been
a lot of bread and
bad
cheese.
bread and cheese.
There's a lot of bad bread and cheese going around.
Yeah.
How do they get out of this situation again? Because I think I skipped a note here. Oh, the town watch shows up.
Yeah.
The town watch shows up, and then Matt and Rand are able to like kind of get out of that situation because the town watch and the Children of Light, they don't really they don't see eye to eye most of the time, you know? And like the Children of Light can't really do anything when the town watch is around. I think that's kind of like the gist of it. Distraction for them to get away from that situation. I could be completely wrong in that situation in this moment. We're rolling with it. So they decide to make their way back to the inn, and just before they get to the inn, they run into Tom, and they tell him a little bit about the dream and everything like that, and they're like, "Okay, let's go get Perrin as well. He's at the inn." And as they're going to get to the inn, Perrin comes like barreling out of that
ripping out. Yeah, Baerlon.
Baerlon is the technical term. And he's like, "Guys, Nynaeve is here. The Emmons Field Wisdom has found them."
Yeah, which is a big deal.
This is a big deal. And Perrin's like, and she is pissed. She is pissed off. And the chapter ends with them like kind of, they're bracing themselves as if they were going to fight Trollocs.
Ready to get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Probably verbally.
Yep.
But they don't know.
They don't know. Look, wisdoms are a feisty lot. All right?
Oh, yeah.
They will make your day hell if they want to. But that wraps up this chapter for us here. And then we will be back next week with the aptly named chapter, The Wisdom.
The Wisdom.
Yeah.
Thanks for closing out this week with us, guys. And Well, I just heard my dog bark.
It's okay.
Thanks for closing out this week with us, guys. As always, thank you for listening, and we will be back next week. That's probably fine, right? Yeah. Yes.